thanks for making the trip out.
Oh, thanks for having me.
To Cali. You're from originally from Colorado?
No, I'm from Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. When did you move out to Colorado?
My parents moved out there my last year of high school. So I finished high school, went to college in Gunnison, 90 to 95. And then I moved back to Virginia Beach in 95.
Nice. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Go by Ganny Farmer on Instagram. Just long-time grower.
Traditional market,
definitely. They have a moratorium where I live, so I haven't been able since I got there to get licensed unless I left like 4 hours out into the sticks, and I just don't want to do that. Yeah.
You've been growing since 91.
Yeah, so my sophomore year in college, first time living off camp or, away from home, off campus, had a little house, bag seed, dirt, drop down bulbs, fluorescents, not drop down, but like literally bulbs. And back then it was hard to find weed back then. You had to go on a hunt, a real hunt. And so, using bag seed.
So you were using fluorescents, not even HPS or metal halides?
No, not yet. I did about 93, 94, got the old parking lot. It was like a black HPS and had it hardwired. But I didn't get my first light 400 until 96.
So you're a sophomore in college? Or
sophomore in college.
How old were you? About
20. 20, and the house didn't have heat, and they put saran wrap on the windows. It's at 7,700 feet, Gunnison, Colorado, second coldest place in the nation. We had space heaters, had a comforter on the front door, and had a leaky faucet, and it created VPD in the house because it was the leaking and the heat mixed together, and the plants just went crazy. But I don't think we ever had anything go longer than maybe 6-7 weeks, because we were just picking it off, we couldn't find nugs, and we're putting them in the toaster oven, smoking them back then. So 91 to 95 was all just hobby, I didn't know what I was doing really. Didn't have any metal halides or HPSs.
Figuring out the information that you were given, because there was no information as far as indoor cultivation in 91 that I know of.
No.
Was there anything?
No, and it was hard to find high times. Anytime the hydro editions would come out, I would get them, but it was like you had to go on a hunt to find a high times. It was in a novelty bookstore hidden up next to Hustler or something, and it was hard to find them back then. So, but I would get those and, just read them. And so when I finally was able to, when I moved back to Virginia Beach, that was when I got, there was only one company really, Hydrofarm, and Hydrofarm used to sell this flood and drain table with everything in it, rock wool, pH tester, the timer, everything included. It was perfect. When I got that, I would buy 2 of those systems and a 1000. And that's how I started kind of growing bigger and bigger using those.
Now, that was what, 93?
That was 96 when I got those, when I moved back to Virginia Beach. And from 91 to 95, just a hobby, but like I don't just grow. Back then I was, I moved a lot of swag,
yeah,
to say the least. So it was all coming from Mex. I had a good connect starting in like 92. And if you were in Gunnison from 92 to 95, it more than likely sold by me. I used the Pizza Hut guys to deliver. And I just ran with it like that. I used to get these peas for like 3,000, and they were like these, it was horrible weed, but it was lime green with purple hairs, and people just would go crazy over it.
Do you know the genetics that you started off with? You obviously had to go with bags of, seeds that you found in bags of weed.
Not before 96. Not after I got to Virginia Beach, I do, because I knew it was there. There's a strand there called, they call it VB Ganny now. We just called it Ganny. And it came
So you had your own strain?
Yeah, not mine though, but in Virginia Beach or Norfolk or in that area, that was the strand that we had. And it came out of Eastern Kentucky in the late 80s by the Cornbread Mafia, supposedly. And it has a distinct smell. It's not like any other Ganny. It has a real weird nose on it. But it's couch lock. It's really good. It would sell, it's top dollar.
Was Ganny a popular strain name back then?
And for there, you just say Ganny. You don't say VB Ganny. You don't say VA Ganny. It's just Ganny.
You just want Ganny?
Yeah, it was just Ganny.
Back then, and before 96 or...
This was, 96 to now, even now I still have it. But
you still have that genetic?
Yep, I still have it. And it doesn't like LEDs, but yeah.
You still cultivate it to this day? Wow, how is the flower?
It's not what, in my mind, if I didn't have it, I would be like, oh, it was the shit, but it's not.
You've kept it all these years and kept it going?
Well, my boy has, I have 3 or 4 friends that still have it, and I just would go back and get it because I've moved and over the years or whatever.
So it's almost 30 years that you've had that genetic. We need to get you a tissue culture kit.
Yeah, I know.
Probably save you some time.
Yeah, I definitely need it for sure to clean it up. It's been around. But back then also we had NL and Hindu Kush. I had a partner in about 96, 97 and he had a good connect. This guy was an ex-professor out of UNC. He lived in Knott's Island and he could really grow and he had all the genetics. And when I partnered up with my guy, he got it for us. And that was that was key. I wish I still had all those, but I no longer have that.
Where's Knott's Island?
It's just over the border. So Virginia Beach is like 30 minutes from North Carolina, and Knott's Island's in North Carolina. It's on the very east. You can't even get to it by North Carolina mainland without ferry, but you can drive through Pungo, Virginia, and come into Knott's Island. It's a real small community. It sits almost below sea level, real marshy.
What? And he was a professor?
He was an ex-professor. We used to call him the professor, and he looked like Jerry Garcia. I don't think he's alive anymore. This was, 96, 97, 98. And, he grew, and he used to get weed. My guy met his wife because he was hitchhiking. And so he made that connect. And so when me and him partnered up, that was one of the keys is he had extra money, the connect on the genetics, and he actually had another place. And so he's like, I don't like to partner up with too many people. And he was, to be honest, he was a coke dealer. So, which is sketchy because, you want to mix those two things when you're doing this, especially back then. And it got to the point where I was like, I ran the grow and he never went to it. Like I can remember I had to come home to Colorado for a week at Christmas, and he had been on a bender for a while, and he shot the gun off in the grow. He's like, bro, he didn't tell me until I get back. He's like, man, I'm going to tell you, I messed up. And he's like, he looks up, he's like, I shot the gun off. I was like, what are you playing with the gun for, bro? He's like, it's like, but nothing came of it, so it was cool. But I remember that apartment specifically went through a hurricane, which was gnarly because the power was going off and on. The landlord would come in once a month, which was crazy because I would sit on the top of the stairs and be like, he would say my wife and kid are sleeping, and I was at the top of the stairs. So if they tried to come up there, I was gonna go on. In that time, we only had 2 1000s, and we were using BX Pro Mix. I was buying most of my stuff at a feed and seed store.
What fertilizer at the time were
General
you?
Hydroponics 3
That was the only thing that was out there.
Yes, the only thing. There was no Kabloom or their PK booster. CalMag wasn't even a thing. Or
they just
CoCo.
had 3-part alone.
3-part alone, that's it.
And then no additives.
No additives.
Yeah.
I think their Kabloom or whatever their PK booster came, or liquid Kabloom came a little bit after, like towards the late 90s.
The legality back in early 90s, that was even before any kind of legalization. How?
In Virginia too is like, it's the Bible Belt. We have, they outlawed churches at one point because there were so many. It's where Pat Robinson is, the 700 Club. So they really are a stickler. I figured I was going to do 3 to 8 if I ever got caught. They just legalized July of 2021, and my boys that are still kind of messing around, they won't go to the pop-ups or sessions, or they still, they won't talk on the phone still.
Did you have any close calls?
I have had a bunch of close calls.
yeah.
I had, in 95, before I left Gunnison, my roommate from my freshman year was doing an internship for the sheriff's department. And at that time, I was slinging a lot of bud, like I said. And I had set up, I was living with my girlfriend, and she had a basement in this house that she owned. And I had actually polyed it off and was about to set up the grow. And he came to me and goes, hey man, you need to leave. You know, you're gonna have some issues. And I was like, what? And I was like, all right, bro, appreciate it. Packed up my car and hauled ass. Went next morning, got on the plane, went back to Virginia Beach. And that was July of 95.
Man, that's gnarly.
Yeah, so 95 to into 2002, I'm growing, and I have two different places, and I never stay more than 11 months in one spot and I don't have, you know, there's maybe 3 or 4 of us that kind of have something similar, but theirs are all a lot smaller than mine, and we kind of share cuts and we share trimming. So between that, but it was, you know, to this day when my doorbell rings, I'm cell shocked. And before, they didn't even have carbon filters until 2005. 2006. So when I would go rent a place, these townhomes, I would get up in the attic and make sure it had a cement firewall or a block firewall to help. But sometimes they have a 16-inch soffit that they put, and the smell would get in there. You know what I mean? And it reeked. So, you know, you're burning bacon and incense, but it's trying hard to mask the smell back then.
What was about cultivation that drove you?
I mean, I like to smoke, but you know, as I started to grow, I just liked everything about it. You know, you start out with this little plant and it grows big and it produces this huge bud. And then also just people's reaction to it, you know, like, oh, bro, this shit's so good, or, you know, so it's, you know, just really social for me as far as that went, and just sharing the whole experience with people.
Yeah, I think it seems like people are driven by different things. You either have, you know, you could got somebody that's really into cannabis, or there's other people that are really into cultivation and they really like cultivating plants, but it seems like you're on both aspects of the spectrum.
I like, you know, it's just like growing your own food type thing. I really did enjoy it. And I can remember even before, I was just reading as much as I could out of the high times. You know, any of those hydro, like I said, I would just go through and read them. And then when that Grow Bible came out, I think in 2005, that was huge.
Who was it by?
I forgot.
George Cervantes?
Yeah, is that who it was? You know, I mean, it had a reference for everything in there. You could just be like, oh, you know, bugs, or, you know, root rot or whatever. You had some answer for it. So there was something to go to.
When did you move to Colorado?
Now?
Yeah, or when you moved from Virginia and then you...
So I'm in Virginia Beach from 95 to the end of 2002. I was like, all right, bro, let me take some time off. Took all my grow shit, put it in storage unit, and moved to San Diego. Before I get to San Diego, I go to Australia for a month. I surf, so surfing's a huge part of where I live. So I go to Australia for a month with my dad. I take an ounce of Ganny with me, but I don't vacuum seal it. Take sleeping pills, get on the flight to LAX, go to Sydney. I get off the flight at Sydney, walking off the jetway, a beagle comes running and jumps on my leg. I look up, like 8 officers in blue suits are coming to me. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Damn, this is early 2000.
This is November 20th, 2002.
Yeah, that was, especially in Australia.
Yeah, at the last minute I'd switched. I had been in OB at my boy's house, and I was going to put it on the rail of my surfboard. And he was like, bro, you got to put that on you. And I was like, so glad I did, because... But the guy was really cool. He was like, you know, he pulled me aside and my dad's with me. My dad was a high-ranking Navy. He was an admiral. And he's always been against weed. I mean, it might as well have been PCP or angel dust, because in his eyes, you know, he's 84 years old now. He's cool now. But at that time, he's, you know, he grew up in that reefer madness. I might as well be a murderer for him, you know. But the guy pulled me aside. He's like, hey, did you smoke before you left? I go, yeah, I smoked mad joints. He goes, oh, mate, that's probably what it is. I'm like, cool. Took me over, x-rayed all my surfboards, skateboard, all my clothes, went through every piece of thing, shaking it. At the last minute, he's like, oh, lift up your shirt, you know? And I had boxers on with biker shorts, and it was up underneath my biker shorts. And he's like, oh, mate, you're good, go, you know, after like 45 minutes. And I held steady, because I wasn't like, you know, I was like, whew.
Dude, close call.
Yeah, real close.
That's life-changing.
Yeah, and then I get to our family's friend about an hour and a half north, and he goes, dude, what are you doing? You can't bring nothing through that airport. What do you got? You know what I mean? I gave it to him. He's like, oh, my God, bro, that's so good. But, yeah, I was like, fuck, bro. And then, I get back, whatever. I settle into San Diego. I get a place in PB and surfing every day. And Southern California surfing is the shit. You know what I mean? My whole life, you grow up reading Surfer Magazine, all these spots from Swamis to Blacks to, Imperial Beach to Lowers to all the way up to Zuma Beach. You know what I mean? All these spots. And so I'm surfing. I'm starting to go through money. Biggest mistake I made was probably not bringing my genetics and my grow stuff with me because I'm going through money. Now it's like March of 03. I'm like, fuck, bro, I need to make some money. And my boy's, whatever, he's moving weight sometimes. So I get like 25 pounds, 10's his, or 15's his, 10's mine, and I drive across country. But I had this weird feeling before I leave. I'm like, fuck, should I? I'm just weird gut feeling, which I should have went with, and I didn't. It's taken 3 days to get the right rental car. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just grab this one. I grab a black Nissan Maxima with Minnesota plates, driving. And I mean, Nevada back then was gnarly. They would, you don't get caught with nothing. So I'm making it through. I'm seeing cars pulled over in Nevada. I'm seeing cars pulled over in Colorado. I'm on 70. I get to DIA. And I'm like, man, I should switch rental cars. I'm like, fuck it, bro. I've already been driving a day and a half. Let me just keep going. Get like halfway through Kansas. I look, I see a black unmarked state patrol going westbound. He's going like 100 and some miles an hour, moving. I'm like, damn, that's scary. And I'm doing 71 into 70, cruise control. I'm not smoking. Everything's vacuum sealed. Oof. Look at my rearview mirror 20 minutes later, and this dude's coming up on me so fast, and I could see him. You know what I mean? I'm looking in the mirror, he's just coming. He gets it, he just like, almost, just locks it up and sits on my corner for 15, 20 minutes. I got to make a lane change, and he pulls me. Oh, shit, bro. He's got the dog with him, too. Dog's going haywire. Comes in, he's asking me all these questions, like, where you going? What are you doing? All this. And I'm like, just on my way out east, and I have a one-way rental. Things look sus. This guy's, and he's like, he keeps me for a while, and then he's like, can I look in the trunk? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead, look in the trunk. I had a skateboard back there. And he's like, I need it. He walked the dog around the outside, too. They don't need permission to that, He walked it. He goes, my dog's hitting on your car. I go, I don't know what to tell you, bro. He's probably hungry. And the guy was a dick. I mean, he was just on me. And he's like, I need to search your inside your car. And I'm like, I got to go, bro, And finally, he just kept me there so long that I'm like, whatever. He's like, I was like, all right, go ahead, bro. And he went through, sees the weed, pulls a gun, has me out in the middle of the highway, looking spread eagle. I'm like, fuck, bro. I think this is crazy, And really, I can do jail. It's not a big time. I mean, now it's the time because I can make money. I can't make time. But, probably the hardest call in the world is calling my dad. You know what I mean? I'm just sitting in jail in the middle of Kansas, but they try to get you like they're driving me in to the one station, they're weighing it, and then and he's trying to talk to me like, hey bro, 3 and leave, and I'm not really paying attention because I'm kind of shook, and then he's still saying it. Then we get to the place and they bring in a federal officer and they're like, all right, man, you want to go on your way? Just give us 3 names and you can leave. And I was like, I'll tell you what, bro. Give me my weed, an hour and a half head start, and I'll give you some names. John Doe, Jane Doe, whatever. They're not going to give me my weed, I know. And he's like, we can't do that. And I was like, well, hurry up and book me so I can get out of this shithole. And now I'm mad. I don't even care now. Now I'm so angry. And then I'm sitting in there, so, and they, like they have me in a one-way door before they put me in public, general population. And a door swinging, there's like a guy with a mirror, and he's like trying to mess with me already. I'm like, oh, fuck, bro. I got my orange jumper on and my flip-flops.
What do you mean fucking with you?
He's sitting in his cell, and he's using a mirror to look around the corner, and he's trying to talk to me as this door's open, and I'm sitting in this cell. I'm not put in yet. They're waiting until after dinner to put me in. And so I'm just like, oh, bro, this guy's already fucking with me, and I don't know what's going to happen when I get in there. And I mean, I'm 6'6", 200 pounds. I train martial arts at this time, already 4 years. So I'm like, you know what? I'm ready. I put my thing around, tie it around my waist. I'm like, whatever's going to happen in here, let's go. So whatever they put me in, and I got to duck 3 times just to get in the thing because I'm like, shh, 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 shh. And then I get in there, and it's like they're all there either for meth or domestic abuse. So whatever, I'm in there for like 6-7 days, and I know none of my friends are going to answer the phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everyone's
Like,
tripping.
Oh, yeah.
In early 2000s, and you got hit in Kansas.
In Kansas.
Kansas of all places.
And Kansas is still gnarly.
Yeah, it's still not legal.
If you look down the line, it's like 70, 80, 40, 50. It's North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska,
It's like the last
Kansas,
state.
Oklahoma, and Texas. And that whole thing is still pretty gnarly, except Oklahoma.
That's the last state you want to get hit in.
Yeah, and they still don't like it. Anyway, I get booked in there, and there's a kid in there, and his dad's a city manager. And he's like, hey, bro, did you get popped for, were you driving through with weed? Did so-and-so trooper get you? And he like knew my whole case, you know? I'm like, this shit just happened. How's this kid know all this already? He's like, he gets everybody. That dog doesn't hit shit. He's all telling me all this and whatever. I end up talking to him every day for a couple of days. And he's like, you give me a pack of smokes and I'll get you, I can tell you the lawyer's name. And he's a badass. He got the biggest meth manufacturer off of Kansas. And I was like, shit, yeah, bro. How many smokes you want? I'll buy them all. And he gave me his name. I finally make the call. My dad, hard call, bro. I just sat for an extra couple of days. My parents had gotten back from Mexico, and I knew they were going to be calling me, you know? I hadn't talked to them in weeks. So I know, they're probably worried and shit, and I don't want to stress them and make the call. My dad's like fucking irate. Anyway, comes, bails me out. And I tell him, I'm like, Dad, I get this lawyer. He's going to get me off. And he's like, no way. You got caught. You're not, there's no way. Anyway, I make the call the next day. Lawyer's like, bring me $5,000. I'll get you off everything. I'm like, I'm on my way. 10-hour drive from Colorado to where I got, one way, and then 10 hours back the next day to take him the money, get there. He tells me, what he's going to do. I come back for a hearing, and we walk in, and this is like a month later. It's myself, my dad, the lawyer, and then a magistrate in that state patrol. And it's like, it's not a courtroom yet. It's just a room like this. And as we're walking in, the lawyer's like, what is this? How's my client going to get you guys buddies sitting here talking? I want the case dismissed. And my dad's like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. He's going. And he's an old man at this time. For him to even be acceptable at this was, pretty, he's since passed away. And anyway, whatever. That come back a month later. And because I'm living in San Diego, I get back on plane, go back, come back. I go to court. This is like July now, and I get on the thing, and the cop tells his story. I get up and tell my story, and my lawyer's like, could you leave? And he's like, no. He goes, well, look, the police is standing in front of the mirror, the rearview mirror. He wouldn't let you leave. And like all the audio and all the video disappeared. He goes, how come every time we come to court, that video and audio disappears? My client, Anyway, we do all that. And then I go back to San Diego. He calls me up next day. He goes, they got till December to fully press you, but I guarantee it disappears. And sure enough, it did.
Wow.
Yeah. For that year, and not much. I was like, but the weird thing is I know 4 other guys that got popped within 30 minutes of that spot, and none of them went through that.
What do you mean none of them?
None of them had to go to court.
Why?
The 3 and leave.
Oh, the 3 and leave.
Yeah, they walked, I wasn't going to, they're like, we want the man. I was like, you got him, dog. I mean, I'm not the man, but, I'm not going to rat my guys out that are my friends,
Yeah.
What's that? It's not going to, whatever. Anyway, when I got out, I had like 184 calls on my flipped up Motorola. They didn't mess with none of my stuff. It was still sitting in the rental car. I was able to go get all my stuff and take it, because I didn't take a deal or nothing, so.
Dude, that attorney's savage.
Oh, he was. His son does it now, too, because somebody asked me about it, and I was like, I forgot his name. He's in Russell, Kansas. I could find him. But, yeah, he was a shit, bro. He was the man.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot of comments, be like, wait, what's that attorney's name?
I can find it.
I
should know it by heart, and I just have to Google, but his son does it now. It's the same where that senator's name, Bob Dole, used to live, Russell, Kansas.
Yeah.
It's in that same area. But yeah, and then whatever. I got depressed too after that, But it didn't stop me doing from what I was still doing.
Did you take a break?
No.
From
growing. I wasn't growing,
yeah,
but I was still moving swag.
Yeah.
But it was like, I don't know, at the time was bad. That's the thing is, before 9/11, I knew guys that would take 200-300 pounds with a Southwest voucher, check in, put the fucking bag on the flight, not even get on the flight. Bro, pick up my bag, just sitting at the terminal, bag rolling around, go up there and grab it. But then after 9/11, that's when dudes had to, start really driving it because they were going through bags. I mean, now, obviously guys are doing 40 and 50 packs on the reg.
Yeah.
New York, Jersey, Florida, whatever. I mean, you see it. I just read the news. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just reading whatever you read and see.
Yeah.
Tennessee's a hardcore state too. So yeah, I'm in, and then I'm there, and I have to get a job. I work at Mission Valley for Superior Ready Mix, and I'm driving a rock truck, those big rock trucks. I did it for a year, and I was just like, bro, just working 55 hours a week. I'm like, and I'm not even making really
Now
money.
this is in San Diego.
This is in San Diego, 2000. I get the job. I don't get the job till after I'm off the thing, off the trouble. I get it from 04 to 05, in like exactly 12 months.
Are you just driving a truck, or are you growing weed on the side?
Not growing weed, just driving the truck, and I'm miserable.
Are you moving?
Not then, no. So I completely stopped, and I'm just.
So you did take a little break.
Yeah, I did take that 1 year break, and but not when I wasn't going to court. I was still on flights going back and forth.
Holy shit!
And then, but it just wasn't. The money wasn't great, and the weed was shit. So anyway, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And right before I quit the job, I go to Costa Rica to surf for like 3 weeks. And I'm like, oh, bro, this is where I need to be. So I'm like, all right, come back, quit the job at Mission Valley, and I go to Costa Rica. I drive my stuff to my parents in Colorado, get on a flight and go to Costa Rica for 2 months. And I'm like, all right, bro, I'm gonna go set the grow back up in BB and get it going, and so I can come back here and live. And I get back to Virginia Beach in June of 05, get all my stuff out of storage unit, get a place, start growing, about 9 months, and then my dad helps me buy a house. I buy a house in the hood. I mean the hood, but it's a remodel, $185,000 for this house. It's 3 houses down from Section 8 housing, the only white guy in the neighborhood, but I'm always gotten along with, I don't care, color, religion, I always just get along with people. And I remember my neighbor coming, he said, man, what are you doing here, man?
Yeah, what the fuck?
But like, I had a guy across the street, bro, he died. I just bought him Heineken's on the reg, and then my neighbor always would try to borrow $20, and I just, I don't have no problem. I can, I pay a tax here and there. And so that house, I set it up, and it runs from March of 06 until about a week before my son's born in 2000. He's born right the last day of 2010. So that house runs for almost
4 years.
Five. Yeah, almost 5 years fully. And I was ready for it to be done because I knew its time was done. It's either going to get busted or robbed.
I mean, if you were running a grow for 5 years, you did really well.
Yeah.
Like back then, traditional. I mean, the biggest thing, back then coming up or starting is finding a place to grow.
Yeah, that was really hard because, especially when you have to show income, on paper, I'm a ghost.
Yeah, or, the inspections or, just the right location. It's probably just the most difficult.
It was.
Smell, neighbors.
I always was good at like putting it like right in front of everybody, but them not knowing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I got neighbors everywhere, and I try to be cool with everyone. And I had a concrete business. So I was a former carpenter. I learned 95 to 96, I learned to do concrete flat work. And if I do something, I try to be the best at what I can do. So I had a Bobcat and a trailer and a truck, and everything looked the part. So, that Bobcat ended up getting stolen because I had it in a yard. I didn't even check on it for like 4 months around the grass. But so I had that. Where am I at? I forgot now.
2010, you have a son.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, there was before iPhones, and my boys send me an email, and I'm not checking it, and it takes me like 24 hours. And he's like, "Oh, bro, house got robbed. Hurry up, come home." I see it. I'm like, "Oh shit!" I call him. He's like, "You need to come home, bro." I call guys in the house. They're fucking ransacking it, and I'm like, "All right, bro, I'll get a flight. It takes me 23 hours to get home." 11 o'clock at night. And when they broke in, they took the meter, and they stole the meter because I had like an ADT, but it wasn't set up, but it was beeping, but it was the battery. It wasn't connected to and I think they're young dudes because it was on week 8. They stumbled into the room and they didn't know what they stumbled on.
Oh, they got lucky at week 8.
But they didn't. They saw a half pound sitting there, and they grabbed the half pound and they left because my guy pulled in the driveway, chased them out. He cut everything down, wrapped it, and hauled ass with it. But the fucking windows broken out, the side doors just flapping in the wind with shit. If a cop would have drove by and saw it, it would have been, been over. Even though he emptied it, it was still, we had mad ballast, and we were buying new bulbs every run and new ballast every other run. So we, I come in, I get the door fixed, I call the city, get the thing, I'd go and dump all the ballast and all the bulbs, I'd throw everything, I'm trying to get as much evidence out of there as possible.
And that back then, it was the heavy magnetic.
Oh yeah, so many of them.
Single-ended 1,000-watt Hortilux, right?
Yep.
What kind of wings did you have? Like the Eco wings, or did you do vented hoods?
It was just that standard with the glass.
Vented hoods.
It wasn't those big ones. Yeah, the vented hoods.
Yeah, but like the standard Sun Systems.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's like
it was Hydrofarm at the time, but then I don't know I forgot who after that, but
the Sun System XL.
Yeah,
remember the Sun System XL?
I had those later, but not then. They were the smaller ones.
I forget what the Hydrofarm was called.
I don't know, but I ran sealed rooms then because I couldn't take the chance of like put a window unit in or a portable AC. We used the HVAC in the house, and of course everything ran better in winter than summer.
Yeah.
And I was running 80% off a 15 or 20 amp breaker is what you can run. So you basically can run 1,000 in a fan or a pump. So I'm running extension cords all over the house.
Were you running CO2?
No.
So you're just letting the AC vent through the house.
Exactly. I mean, I had a close call there too. One time I pulled up my house and there's a natural gas and a cop standing in my driveway. He's like, we got to come in, make sure that we had a leak on the street. We got to come in. And at that time, the cop got a phone call and he walked away. And I was like, oh shit, bro. And I'm like coming through my head like, my wife and kid are inside sick, bro. And I wasn't married or had a kid, but I was like, and he's like, I just need to test it. Like, because I didn't have a chance to clean up, he'd have walked in and just seen or smelled or whatever. I don't know. I couldn't take the chance. And he was like, all right, let me just put the wand in. And it was cool. He left. And, but that was pretty close too, those small really little things like that. And that was, I shut that grow down. That was right at 2011. But at the meantime, I'm in Costa Rica. Now I'm not coming home at all. I mean, I hadn't probably been home in 6 or 8 months. My boy's running it 50-50 split, and I pay everything out of mine, the mortgage, the power, the equipment. And he's good. He ran it, till the wheels fell off. But it also allowed me to get established in Costa Rica because anytime you move somewhere and you're new,
Back in the early 2000s, how are you moving weight? Was it small, or were you moving elbows?
Small. Because in between harvest, I'm only running 2 lights in a day and 3 at night, offsetting. And I'm selling ounces at $350 like hotcakes. Back then, I got
$350 is cheap back then.
Yeah, you could do 4, no problem. I'll take 10 quarters. It's 100 a quarter all day. That's the way it was. Did
you have any issues moving weight as far as getting jacked or?
No. I mean, the place I got robbed the most was Costa Rica. It's a third world country, so your head's on a swivel.
Were you growing there?
Yeah, I grew there. I had issues though. I'm saying I got robbed.
That's where you got robbed. You got robbed in Costa Rica.
I got robbed at my house in Norfolk, Virginia, when they ran in, when they realized that we weren't living there, we were growing. Because my neighbor's house was literally, I could touch him, his door. Yeah. And he was harboring like crackheads. And so they were watching us come and go, and my guys bringing, equipment in, and they finally came in. But when they dumped the house, you could tell they didn't know. They stole like an old PlayStation and a receiver or something. Yeah. I didn't have no money there.
But you were growing in Costa Rica too.
Yeah. And then I got to Costa Rica and I grew. In Costa Rica, I mean, it's awesome, but it's a sunny place for shady people. It's the home of the wanted and unwanted. I mean, people that are wanted here go there. You know what I'm saying? I've seen a lot of fucking pedophiles and coke dealers, and I met a lot of weed growers too, though. I have a lot of good friends that live there as well. But that place, I had.
What was it like growing weed in Costa Rica?
Well, I was in Jaco, which is on the beach. Okay, it's 90% humidity, 90% heat.
So
it's hard. I mean, in 2008, I had 1,000 and a 9,000 BTU, and my power bill was $1,000 a month. My power bill right now on 20 flowering lights, 5 veg, 10 ton of air conditioning is $1,100 a month.
Yeah.
So that was so expensive. And I had white flies like you wouldn't believe. I mean, you would shake it and it was getting in your mouth. They were so bad. And root rot. But the place to grow is in the city at like 2,400. It's perfect. On the way you go through, that's where they grow coffee. And it's like the perfect climate. It's 76 degrees.
San Jose.
Yeah, 60%. Athena's is really the spot where they're at, but yeah, the humidity, and it's cooler up there. It's not as hot, just a perfect climate. So, and you can get big houses up there, and you can blend in. Where in Hako, anytime that was the problem. I even watched the guys grow one time. He wasn't much of a grow, but he was out of town, and he had a duplex, and they saw that I had come and gone out of there, and the second he got home, he got robbed. He wasn't there. They climbed over a wall because it was a duplex, and they used the drop-down ceiling and climbed over, and they stole. It wasn't much to steal, but he was like blaming me, I remember. And I was like, bro, I promise, you steal your shit, dog.
Now, with moving cannabis in Costa Rica, just small, to tourists here and
Delivery,
there.
yeah. I'm doing delivery, and I like had a rule. I would only sell to these people, okay, up until about the last 2 years. And then, I let my guard down. I started selling to everyone, and that's probably what got me. But I had my second kid in 2012, and she died. And anytime anyone in your family dies, it doesn't matter if it's a newborn or it's an 80-year-old, they open investigate everyone involved. And so I got a lawyer for my wife and I, and he calls me and goes, hey, bro, the Oihota, which is like their federal agents, they looked up on your thing and saw you had a charge because it wasn't off my record. I guess it takes 10 years.
This was in Costa Rica?
This is in Costa Rica because they investigated you, and they saw that you had a charge for weed 10 years ago. So now they're going to be on you. And this is in May of 2012, right after my daughter died. And he tells me this. So I'm like, fuck. And I don't take much warning to it. I just keep going. And I'm moving. I'm buying a pound a day at 4,000, and I'm selling it a pound a day off delivery. Half ounces, quarters, eighths, and I'm on my moto or on my car, just choom, 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 you know what I mean? And I had an Israeli partner, real good guy. He just got out of jail last year. He did 6 years on money laundering. You get more years for money laundering in Costa Rica than you do for murder. In murder, you're out
So
before.
he got busted in Costa Rica.
Yeah, he got busted. 2 guys talking about him. They didn't get him with money. They got him talking. And
him talking to somebody else.
2 other guys talking about him.
That's it?
That's it. They never got him with money. But so they come in the property. This is April 2014. They come in, 30 agents into his house, and then we had a triple Tri-Plex that we were growing in. And
how do you even get somebody just talking about you?
Well, he was big time, dude. He I mean, weed was nothing for him.
There were some other things there.
Yeah,
okay.
He was a big time.
It got the investigation got started by people talking.
Yeah, exactly.
But not the charges.
He was going back and forth to Europe.
Okay.
And he was famous for being able to, let's say, move money.
Okay.
For different groups of people. Anyway, they come in and so all right. Well, he bought this place up in just outside of San Jose at this time, and we custom built, and we built a wine cellar with a hinged tile floor, and I put 600s with flood and drain in there, and it was all set up ready to go. That morning, we're about to move all the clones up to there, and they come in gangbusters on them, both properties. In the Tri-Plex, we had to grow, and there was like 2 pounds of coke, 1.5 pounds MDMA,
Jesus.
More sheets of acid than they ever seen. But they didn't care. All that was nothing. Money laundering carries the biggest charge. 6 years, and he did every fucking one of it. He's a hardcore dude. He's gnarly. I went and saw him in all the jail, but so when he gets popped, it takes me a few days to be able to get to go see him and talk to him. And he's like, bro, don't worry. They're not after you. There's nothing. They didn't mention your name. There's nothing. You're good. But I get a phone call the next day after he gets him from another guy. He's like, hey, bro, you should take a vacation. I always get these calls. I'm like, what the fuck can I take a vacation? He's like,
what, a random guy just calls you? And tells
no,
you
it's a friend.
Okay.
And so actually he goes, come see me. So I go talk to him. He's like, hey, bro, they got your phone tapped. They got you on video. They got you doing everything, bro. They want, the
Costa Rica authorities.
Yeah. Not the police. The police are corrupt. They could be a robber one day and a cop the next, or vice versa. You can buy
So you're not worried about police?
No.
It's more federal.
No, but I got stopped 19 times in 21 days going through my car. So I knew something was up. You know what I mean? I was like, what's going on? Why am I always, why are they going through because they do that anyway, But, after they got him, and then I got that call, was like, shit, I packed up my shit and went on the road in Costa Rica for a while. Just broke all my phones, took the SIMS card out, went and got on those stuff. And I'm like, and they're telling me my passport is seized up. That's where they got me. They're like, you can't leave the country. When you go to leave, we're going to, but I'm like, all right. So I'm like, let me get a second opinion. So I call my buddy, actually he's 15 minutes from here. You guys probably know him. And he didn't smoke, drink, do drugs. He had a construction company and a property management company. And he was well known. He'd been there 17 years. And so I got him, and I knew he knew some Oihota agents. And I was like, hey, bro, can you check on this for me? And he goes and calls me up. He goes, you're good. And then 5 minutes later, he goes, no, you're not good, bro. Come see me. So I'm like, all right.
Come see him in Costa Rica.
No, come see me like in person, not on the phone.
Gotcha.
So I drive over, I talk to him. He's like,
but you're still in Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah, I'm still in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
I haven't left. And so I go talk to him. He's like, they got you, your thing's seized up, but you can buy your way out. And I go, well, how much they want? He goes, $4,000. I'm like, cool, let me get it. I go get the money. He gives it to the agent. He's like, calls me. He's like, just wait 48 hours and you can go check. So I drive down to the Panamanian border. You're supposed to leave every 90 days in Costa Rica to renew your visa. You're supposed to leave for 72 hours, but I'd go, stamp out of Costa Rica, stamp into Panama, wait 2 hours, stamp out of Panama, and then back into Costa Rica.
How long were you lived in Costa Rica for? How long?
From like May of 2007 until October of 2014.
Oh, wow. So for 7 years.
Mm-hmm. 7 years. And I would go a long time without even coming home. So, but yeah, I pay the guy, and then I go down and I check, I stamp out and it works. I'm like, sweet, my passport's good, okay. But now I'm like, fuck, dude, I need to get out of here. It's, it's not working out. And anytime I do anything, they're just going to be right back on me. So I decide to move, but I don't move until October of 2014. Yeah, October 2014, I moved back to the States with my wife and one kid. And still my parents aren't really cool with it, I don't really have to talk with them.
Did you meet your wife in Costa Rica?
Yeah, she's Colombian.
Nice.
Yeah. And my kid was born, one of my sons was born there as well.
Nice.
He's Tico. So I come back and, if my parents would have been cool with weed, I would have been probably a lot further along, but I've always kept this like 3,000 mile cushion where they couldn't, come up on me, and if they did, I'm coming home. Or, I'm at this house, or I got gas, you can't,
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to like play defense, not just with neighbors and friends and different people, but I'm, always on guard. You have to be, because I'm, and I wish I would have just taken advantage of Prop 215, but I come back in 2014, I buy a bunch of grow shit in Colorado, and I go right back to Virginia Beach, because that's just what I know. And I set up grow, but outdoors really we started feeling the effect of Cali Outdoor at the end of 2010. Now we're down to 250 to 300 ounce, and my boy's like, bro, it's affecting our sales,
All the way in 2010.
That's when we started to feel it, but by now it's 2014, and it's everywhere. And matter of fact, some of the guys I know from Costa, I'm like, I basically like, what, let me bag growing for a minute and just do this.
Yeah.
Because it's everywhere. If you can't beat them, join them. Although I did run my grow there because my boy had a duplex, and he would always, anytime he had no vacancy or he had vacancy, I would just take it and grow in it. And I remember 2014 to summer of 15, I'm growing in the duplex, but on the corner is a narco cop with a dog right here, and I'm right here. And it's like, I'm using the fucking window unit, and you can just smell it coming out, even with can fans. It's just because that shit pulls the air out. And you could hear it, smell it, and I was just sketched the whole time. And it wasn't going good for me growing there. I got mites a couple times, and I was just having issues. So I was like, man,
and the legality of it.
Yeah.
At that time, you had a few states that were legal. What, Colorado legalized in 12?
Was it 09? I thought it was 09.
Was it? Maybe.
I can't remember.
But full recreation,
yeah,
12.
Yeah, full rec. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm going back to San Diego. Let me get... Just kept going back, but I couldn't get a place. They were just getting sucked up so fast. I was going to do because my boys grow there. I still have two of my boys own a dispensary in La Mesa, and they just opened another one.
They grow in San Diego.
Yeah. So then they were growing, and so I was like, I'm gonna go back there, but it was hard. I had my second kid on the way. I didn't have a bunch of money, and somewhere along the way, my mom's like, well, why don't you just stay here? I got my medical license. She was buying like lotions, and they don't smoke or nothing, obviously, and so I was like, oh shit. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just stay here. You know, I know the school system's good. Like my parents are here. They're starting to get older. Let me just prop up here. So I first got there and I was so pumped on being a legal state. I was just like, bro, it's everywhere. You know, people are selling clones and all the
San Diego.
No, this is Colorado Springs.
Okay,
because
Colorado.
I couldn't find a place in San Diego. I didn't have the money. You know, I didn't have 30 or 40K to put down and start
it's
up.
expensive.
And I just couldn't. I couldn't pull it off. And so I just ended up settling back in Colorado Springs. Parents are cool with it. But then I realized that, you know, not everybody has the same drive or passion. They're just kind of making money off of it, selling, you know, infected clones and shitty rental deals and trying to overtax you and all this. And
nobody cares about quality.
no. And at this time, you know, you can still move. I mean, it used to be, if it was just bud, it was, you know, go. It doesn't even need a name.
Yeah.
Still, you know, at that time. And so I get a place in Pueblo. I just bite off more than I can chew. It's like an hour drive each way, and I'm sharing a wall in a commercial spot with these Cubans, and they're blasting their weed with 3-in-1 every other day, all the way up to week 8, and the russet mice are just coming through the wall, eating me alive. I'm just like, fuck, bro. And it took me probably 4 months to realize I had russet mites. I couldn't see them.
You can't see them.
My eyes are shit. And that too from HPS is just burnt. I've never worn any protection over years and years, and just, you know, trimming in the room with the lights and being in the room, and because I keep getting checked for glaucoma, but it has something to do with like shading in your eyes, where I have to use a flashlight just to see the menu. 30
years of HPS exposure, or
and
25 because you're using CFLs the first.
Yeah, and then LEDs. I mean, I think you're supposed to use protection too, and I still don't. You know, we got 20 lights in a 400 square foot room, and it's bright as shit on 100%. You know.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't see that with the russet mites, and I got in that bad deal. And outdoor, and it was 2016 to 2017, the price got real low. If you remember.
I remember that. It was end of 2017 because I was still doing really well in beginning of 17.
Yeah, and I shut that grow down. I was having issues with the landlord, and this guy, he ended up being a real bad dude, but whatever. And I was like, you know what, I had guys that were in Chico, Paradise, Cave Junction, Grants Pass. So I was like, let me get up there, see, you know, get boxes. Fuck it, can't beat them, join them. So start doing that outdoor thing and
moving boxes.
Yeah. And again, dude, I'm dealing with some cats that are just in it for the money. They don't have the passion. They're just growing it and they're drying this shit, bro. I'm up there. I remember being up there at Paradise, and they got it on the 3rd floor. It's 100 degrees with a box fan. They got all the weed hanging, power dried it in 48 hours. Just hay.
Fucked it all up.
Locking that chlorophyll in there. But whatever, you know. I mean, I remember I was paying $1,800 a pound then at that time. And so
$1,800 a pound in 2017 for outdoor?
Yeah. I remember buying them fresh at that, you know. At first I was only doing like, you know, 5, 10, 15, just on my own budget. Boom. Get on the plane. Boom, boom, boom. Back and forth. Coming out of Portland, coming out of Sac, wherever, back to the East Coast. And then I did that until so I finally buy a place in 2018. And that's when
How are you, were you doing freight, or were you doing plane, or?
Not plane.
Not plane,
Mm-hmm.
freight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, freight. Freight's the only way.
Yeah.
Because you could ship a box on a pallet and, you know, show up to a logistics center, drop off the pallet, and off it goes.
Yeah, I used to always want to use those pod things. I was like, I'm going to put a bunch of furniture and then stack the middle of it with the pod.
Yeah, I heard about guys using those. Did you ever use those? Or
no, I always wanted to, but I was like, it's going to take too long. It's going to heat up in there.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, man, I don't want to do that. And,
so you did pallets.
Yeah.
Yeah, pallets were the way.
And then I got to the point where they were doing transportation. So I started doing more and more weight, you know, 100, 200 pounds. And they were just bringing it in the car, you know, driving. And I had a close call to 2 one time. So I'm going to meet them in Northern Virginia, and I got the money. I got like, I don't know, $150K on me. I'm going to pay for that and pick up another box. And I'm probably 45 minutes out from the Airbnb, and I get a call like, hey, bro, turn around. Don't go. The old people got popped on the way in like Missouri. They were like in their 80s.
Driving.
And
with
they
200 elbows.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might have been more. And they ratted, and so they were waiting, all the feds were at the Airbnb, and they got the main dude, But luckily I got that call,
Yeah.
But they knew because I had the money. If I had not had their money, they would have been like, probably putting me in the arm's way. But when I had that much money, they're like, fuck, bro, they need that.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've never done anyone wrong to this day. And I've been doing this since 1986 when I brought my first ounce and broke it down.
Respect. Yeah. I have some cats that, are still my homies today that always just stayed true through the game, even though I'm not in the game anymore, as far as that side. We're still homies. We'll still go out to dinner, hang out, brokers that I'm still friends with, just out of respect, because the loyalty and honesty and integrity definitely doesn't go unnoticed.
Right.
Because it's easy to be cool when things are good, but when things go south, shit falls apart, and either people narc on you or you get jacked or whatever goes down. Everything's easy when everything's good. So
yeah,
you really learn who people are when things get tough.
Yeah, you do. I mean, almost all my boys owe me money, but it's all good. I don't, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I paid my debts, but it's okay. I can make more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way I've always looked at it. It is what it is.
Yeah. With what you have going on now, you have a 20 lighter in Colorado that you run.
Mm-hmm. So 2018, I get a house, and I buy the house for this basement room. It's unfinished, and
my man.
Yeah,
I bought the house because of the basement.
It's fucked up. But anyway, I put my 6 light. First, I buy this is September 11, 2018. I close on the house. I order Fluence, the 2 eyes, I believe, or 2 of those, and flood and drain. No, not flood and drain. I'm doing top feed then, and so. I started out with 2, and then January of that year, I think Avita came out with their LED. I bought 2 of those. I end up with 6 lights in there, but okay, I'm only running 4. Oh, and then I get the Fluence rails or whatever those were. Those bars, I had a couple of those, and then Lux came out at January 2020, because I order it at MJ and BizCon.
The LED did.
Yeah. At 2019, I ordered it at MJ BizCon. I prepaid there. And it came out, I think, January or February that year. And I got 1, and then I got another one. So now I got 6 lights in that house, and it's doing numbers. It's doing 2.5 off those Fluences, and then even 3 off the Lux at the time.
And you're using 600 watts to pull 3 pounds.
Yeah.
And the numbers start changing at that point, big time.
Mm-hmm. You don't have, and so another person after the Grow Bible, I wasn't on those THC Farmer or Icy Mag. I went back in 2013, or even now, if you go back and look at Ivan's Jack May offers, you could still use his stuff. He's using, CoCo beds, heavy 16 with Apatis. He put so much information out there when you go back and look. And there's guys still running that way to this day. And he put out so much information besides the High Times, the Grow Bible, and him.
Did you follow Ivan on THC Farmer? But no. Now you go back and you can see.
5 or 6 years ago, I went back and looked. But no, my boy would tell me about it in San Diego, but I wasn't willing to put my IP address out of Norfolk, Virginia on there. I'm not that smart. I don't know if they could track it, or it just wasn't worth it, So, yeah, he was, and back, I got on Instagram in 2016, and he used to share a lot, that 2 nodes and flip, and, even back before that when I was using octobubblers, he was like, oh, take the washer out, you get a better flow rate. And, he put so much little detail in his things. I was like, damn, dude, this guy's he's the shit, bro. So much information, it's still relevant today. You can use it. But, I forgot where I'm at now, but yeah, so I have that 6 lighter, and everything's running good, and I was at 2,400 a pound up until April of 2021.
Wow.
I'm still,
that's solid.
Yeah. And so I take on the 20 lighter, but I take on a partner. You know, I'm giving him 10% and $2,500 a month on a $300,000, 3,000 square foot house, and so. You know, we're going along, but when they made the deal, it was at 2,400. You know,
Now it's different.
Now we're at 14 or whatever. You know, I give most of it away anyway. But
now you're cultivating in CoCo. What size pots are you using?
I'm not in CoCo anymore.
Oh, really?
No, I'm in Gordan. Everything's in Gordan right now, except our moms.
What do you like? What do you like better about Gordan?
The cleanup.
Yeah.
You know, but it's more expensive. It's twice as much for me to run in CoCo. I mean, in Gordan, and it's not as forgiving at all. You know, CoCo is much more forgiving. It's like doing weeds with with freaking extra things on the back to help you stand
tricycle.
up. Yeah, exactly. You know.
Yeah.
So
I like CoCo. I like my training wheels. The best. I have no problem with it.
I mean, before I was just vegging in 4-inch Rockwells and just bury it in CoCo and. I transplant on day one of flower, and just that first 20 days is in a vegetative state. The roots are developing, and they take off and go. Yeah,
CoCo, I used a lot of different medias. I used sphagnum peat moss. They've used Rockwell. I've done hydroton with flood and drain, ebb and flow. BX Pro Mix, Sunshine #4, Ocean Forest, Happy Frog, all of it. But CoCo, I just like it because it's so, at least the CoCo where I buy it, so consistent. It's inert, it's inexpensive, and it's more forgiving. Mm-hmm. And so I found a sweet spot because I spent like a few years trying to lock down like the perfect media and the perfect size pot for me, right? And to each his own. But it was like this 1.7 gallon square pot with straight CoCo. And we just transplant the clone right into that. Mm-hmm. So you're transplanting once, similar to rock wool in a 6x6. And you make sure to hit it with cleanse, because cleanse is going to increase ORP, increase oxygen in the root zone, kind of prevent that water log out on the roots. Sometimes in CoCo you used to water that initial watering on a clone and it kind of stays stagnant. The clone doesn't take off. Mm-mm. Have you ever?
It dries from the bottom up sometimes where it doesn't just take. Yeah, for sure.
So we just kind of found that sweet spot, and I'm stuck on it. It's like GH3 part back in the day. Nobody gets off of it. That's like me on straight CoCo.
On CoCo, yeah. It seems like during COVID, CoCo, I don't know what happened, but there's more fungus gnats in there than ever. I don't know. I use Playground, no perlite, just straight Playground when we do use it, and we're still using it for our moms and when we pop seeds or whatever. But everything right now, this last run, we're on 4-inch on top of slabs, and that was hard because we don't. Those Lux are hard to veg under. You got
Lux LEDs.
Yeah. You have to have them pretty high and the PPFD pretty low, and sometimes they don't want to take. I don't know. We've had issues, but we do all right. I mean, it's not a home run every time,
So now you're doing 4-inch on slabs.
Yeah, but now this run right now, he's transplanting right now. I'm just going 6-inch. 6-inch by 6-inch Grodans, and we're going to flower in that. We'll veg for a week and flip them to veg maybe 2 weeks. Flip.
How many plants are you doing per square foot, or how's your layout?
We were doing 12 plants a light. Now we're at like 15. With Grodan, with Rockwell, it seems like you can
so
put
you're
more.
Doing 12 plants a light, but
I'm doing 80 a row. I have 5 lights on a 20-foot bench, and now we're going to 80.
You have a 4-foot wide tray, and you're doing
20-foot long,
4 across.
We were doing 3.
You were doing 3.
3 at 12, or no, whatever. It was 60, but with Grodan, it seems like you can fit more. I had a lot of gaps in the canopy this last time. So, and I don't top. I've always just single stalk, crowd the room.
Yes. So 3 plants across on a 4-foot bench.
Yeah, and then we put offsetting ones in there to fit them, any gaps.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily 4 wide.
So about
it'll be 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. You
Gotcha.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that. And I think that's what we're going to run now. But my room, you're supposed to have 17 and a half inches on center for those benches that roll. I had like 8. Like if someone else were to set this room up, they would probably have 12 lights in just, in 15 foot of or 15 foots. But I crowded it. I just barely get through that.
You're not topping either.
Yeah, we don't top. So we run like that.
So about like one plant per 1.3, 1.2 square feet, about a crow.
We average about 4 ounces of bud per plant.
That's pretty good. What's interesting when I started following you, I've never seen any grower get the LED so close to the plants that you have. Like you have the LEDs literally touching the tops of your plants. They're growing in between. Yeah,
well, that's over-vegged and, short ceilings. One of my ceilings is like 7-11, the other one's 9-2. So...
I mean, you're kind of stuck there.
Yeah, I'm stuck, but also like a lot of that was Mac 1, and Mac 1 is forgiving. You can give it everything, mud, PPFD, high EC, and it goes,
So just genetic dependent.
Yeah, because if I try that with like the white truffle, that thing just fucking, those polyhybrids just start to foxtail and just produce all these small buds. So now if you look, my lights are...
Right where they need to be.
Yeah, they're up high.
How high do you keep it off the canopy?
I'd say around 21 inches.
Okay.
At 100%.
On LEDs. Mm-hmm. Right on.
If I can, but once, I'm using zip ties sometimes at the very top of the unistrut, and I'm still, like we have that Sherbanger 22 right now. It wants to go 73, 80 days. It did a 4-week stretch. I put it in at 12 inches. The thing's like 5
Did a 4-week stretch?
4 week, 28 days of stretching. I mean, I have my rainbow belts, 220, my Woody, and my Zittles, they're done at 7 weeks. I mean, if I leave them on the grill any longer, I'm just going to have bud rot.
Yeah.
And we were getting some bud rot. Maybe in 40, 50 pounds, we get like a half ounce.
Of bud rot. Were you flushing it all?
Yeah, but I flushed with CalMag and cleanse, obviously.
Yeah, but how long?
And I would taper, I would use PK the last 2 weeks, and then the last 48 hours, we'll hit it hard with just cleanse.
Okay.
So
2 weeks of just CalMag?
No.
Oh.
I'm using PK. Actually, I was running like a 1.8.
Oh, 1.8 EC.
And start to taper down. And then the last 2 weeks. But now we're using Fade and PK Booster, Cleanse, and CalMag.
Now you're using blended line Fade.
Mm-hmm.
We're testing that at Jungle Boys right now. And how are you using it? How has our team told you to run it?
JJ said 6 mil Fade, 6 mil PK, and then I think I'm running 4 mil CalMag, 2 mil Cleanse. And
but you're throwing the CalMag in on your own though.
Yeah. I probably use too much CalMag sometimes, obviously. But
yeah, well, you love CalMag. I mean, your feed chart that you did was like 10 mLs of CalMag. Do you still using that?
No.
Because that's a lot. I was like
4 max 6. Yeah, it just depends on what.
4 to 6 now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes just 2. And I have a dilution solution in both of I have Editrons. Same thing. Jungle Boys.
You and Chris are boys.
Yep, and Wally as well.
Nice.
Yeah, we those guys hooked me up, and so the Editrons are awesome.
You like them?
Yeah. I mean, if you saw my 20 lighter, it's crazy. It's my shit's in the kitchen.
I mean, it sounds like a sick 20 lighter to have a dilution solutions and an Editron dosing system.
I mean, the breakfast bars here, the refrigerator, the dishwasher, and 3 100-gallon tanks with the Editron system. Like it's.
And you're doing batch tank fertigation?
No.
You're doing direct?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Direct.
Has it been difficult with direct inject instead of batch tank to kind of dial in your irrigation strategy with your emitters, or your flow is perfect?
My flow is perfect, but we definitely have issues, finding out the P1 to P2 to P3 and how we water. I have a really good guy that works with me. He's been with me for like 1.5 years, and he runs that. He's head grower, head security, head trimmer, head maintenance, he's everything.
Nice.
And I got him through IG. It's like, I was always reluctant, like, fuck, I don't know if I don't really know this guy, but shit, bro.
Well, you're back in the 91s, so, I mean, you've become accustomed to living under the radar and all these situations, so.
And I'm in meth land, by the way. I'm like, the county I live in is supposed to be the biggest manufacturer of meth in the county. The sheriff said once every 3 weeks. I mean, I'm on dirt roads, but you look and they'll be up there suiting up with the fucking all their shit, all the feds, and I'm like, bro, I hope it's not, you know what I mean? But they're out there getting that fentanyl and that meth, which fucking
good. Yeah, go for it.
Get them out of there.
But coming from doing it for so long and
I have trust issues for sure.
You got mad trust issues.
But this guy came to me. He's a lot younger, and he kept hitting me up, and at first he wanted to smoke the weed, and I gave him weed, and then he's like, "Oh, you need help, I want to work," and he trimmed for me a couple times, and then this opportunity came because I needed someone. I got kids and stuff, so I can't just, even though I do spend more time with my plants than I do with my kids, probably, but But also, it's come full circle. I spent my whole life hiding from my parents, and now I hide it from my kids. Which, my 12-year-old and 6-year-old are like, bro, you smell like plants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's class. How are you how many weeks have you been running Fade with Blended Line?
This is our first run. We're at 2.5 weeks.
Okay. How's it looking?
Oh, it's fading perfect.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you seeing a significant difference? As in no fade with.
I mean, those buds are getting dark, even before we started to freeze the room out.
Yeah.
But at week 7.5, I'll put that light to 11 and 13, and that would finish it too. It's just like fall. 11, you got 11 lights on, 13 off.
Oh, so you change your light cycles.
Yeah. And a matter of fact, last run at my 6 lighter.
So you give it less light.
Yeah. I ran the whole run 11 and 13, and everything finished in 7 weeks. Because I had a bunch of seeds, new clones. I just wanted to test and see how it was. The canopy was all off, so I just wanted to run it and finish it. Everything finished in 7 weeks, full, finish, but the buds were just smaller.
Well, 11 hours on, 13 hours off, that's going to affect your total DLI.
Yeah, 100%.
And then that'll affect your yield.
Mm-hmm.
Because the plants aren't getting the same DLI.
But I ran a bunch of moon glows from Archive, and they came out fire and had size. And so it's like, fuck, if we run these right, they're going to really be awesome,
Yeah, genetic dependent.
Yeah.
So I remember back in the day when I was doing a lot of greenhouse, we would in winter we would save up all the cookies, the original cookies cut. Mm-hmm. We got it from SF originally, and we would just run that in our greenhouses during winter because the cookies cut did great under low light. Good yield. I mean, for cookies was always a low yielder. Right.
Yeah.
So, but for the cookies cut, we were getting same yields as in summer. So we would just run cookies during the winter because it liked the low light for some reason.
Right.
And
some do, yeah.
Yeah. So same thing. You're giving it low DLI, but you're getting great yields on that genetic.
I mean, that Ganny I ran 3 lights of it the time before last, and I stripped it. But
the original Ganny.
Yeah, that original Ganny.
The 1990, early 90s Ganny.
Yeah, and I only strip on day 20 now because usually when we put in, the plants aren't very big to begin with, and I just don't want to take all that out of it. So I stripped it, and dude, it acted like corn. It just started to protect itself. It was too close to the light. It started throwing these random single leaves, and it didn't really finish. I just turned everything into concentrate, but yeah, it acted real weird. And then I do look around and they're like, bro, you don't want to give those old indicas like that anything above a 600. And it was like a 950.
600 PFD.
Yeah, it was like a 950. It was just trying to protect itself.
Wow.
It was like cousin it just threw all these random single leaves all over trying to protect itself because the light was just too intense.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
And we grow 12 different strands in a 20 lighter, which it affects the yield too.
Well, it's difficult to do that.
Yeah, it is, but it's okay because with the way the market is now, anyway,
you got to have variety.
Quality over quantity. Anyway, I'd rather take 35 pounds of fire than 50 pounds of subpar.
Yeah. You started using Athena right when we dropped.
Right, 2019, before the MJ BizCon, I was using it. I saw that you guys had that mixed blended, and I was trying to get off GHP anyway.
What were you on?
General hydroponics.
3-part?
Yeah. Well, I'm using 16 parts though, because I'm using other carbs and sugars and CalMed. And if I ran that now, my drippers would be so clogged.
Oh, it'd be
a mess. Now I go through. I change my last 2 mixing chambers. I clean them. I clean my filters on the line, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
I'm using 0.5s when I should be using 0.3s with Rockwool.
Rockwool, yeah. 0.5s are good for CoCo.
Yeah, but I'm just not 100% we're staying with CoCo or with Rockwool. When this run comes down, if it doesn't taste the way it should taste and smoke, then I'll go back to CoCo.
So you could be going back to CoCo.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's, because it cost me like, I think 12 or 1300 in rock wool, and it only cost me 5 or 6 in CoCo.
Yeah, come back to this side, come back to the CoCo.
Yeah, it's just the only thing is like, CoCo dries out and then it's in my filters and it's in my fans and it's, you don't really see it, but when I go to change, I do see it, whereas I don't have that with rock wool.
Yeah. Yeah.
My dehumidifiers, I'm a little undergunned on my dehues, but what I do is though I cut my 7-week stuff down and that takes away 5 lights,
Okay.
So now they can keep up because like Roach was saying, you need like 550 pints per light.
When coming from like the GH3 part and all the additives and all the stuff and going to Athena blended, did you see a significant impact in quality or yield?
Oh yeah. And it's so much cleaner.
But did you see a negative effects? Cause you're using multiple bottles and then now you're only using 5?
Yeah. For sure. I mean, my Macs got better. They got bigger. The yield got better. The quality of the product I thought was better. And of course, cleanup. Wasn't cleaning my res like I had been prior.
What was the significant? Just clean, consistent.
Yeah, all of that, and plus 5 parts. I mean, I'm not mixing 12 parts. It's like.
Have you ever ran Proline?
No, I haven't.
No.
Back, whatever Jungle Boys did, like when they were on Veg Bloom, I tried that, but I always had issues with granular, like mixing and staying consistent. But if I was running anything to scale, I would use the Proline.
Yeah, scale cultivation.
No problem.
For sure. We're doing, like I said, we're doing blended right now, and the guys are like, blended's crushing. Like they love it. And it's crazy to see, 2 lines that are really incredible. I mean, the Pro line's a really great powder line, but then the liquid line crushes as well.
They do. It's
interesting to see what you can do when you put some R&D into something.
Yeah, that was this Chris Durant.
Yeah.
That stuff's the bomb.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, he's a savage.
Yeah, it's really good, because I've always just felt comfortable with liquid salts, using GHP the whole time.
Yeah.
It was just, and when I saw it, when you guys came out, I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to this. Right away. As soon as
liquid?
Yeah.
I
don't know when it came out, like August of 2019 or September. As soon as it came out.
We dropped the liquid line before we dropped the powder line. We're still working on it.
Yeah,
so you're like one of our first customers. Or, right in the beginning.
Right. Yeah, when I saw Ivan, if he was doing it, I was like, shit must be fire. So let me try this stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. So you got an Instagram back. When did you get your Instagram?
2016, I think.
Yeah, so how was that first few posts posting your room?
Felt like I'm dry snitching on myself. I'm building a case like, here, look at this, here, look at all these dates. And we count the pounds and the years. But I mean, I feel better now. It's not, I get used to it or whatever. Plus it's shadow banned. My account's like.
Is it shadow banned?
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, I would get 5,000 on the storyline sometimes. And now I get maybe like 1,100, 12.
Let me see.
But you have to punch in my whole IG to get it to come up. But you know what?
You're not shadow banned.
No?
No, you're good. No, you're good.
I was with a guy the other day and he had to punch in the whole thing. My backup one comes up before my other one.
No, you popped up. Yeah, you popped right up. At least for me. So.
It's weird. It depends where I am too. If I'm in Miami, it comes up different as opposed, it'll get more views as opposed to if I'm in the same spot in Colorado.
No, nice. Yeah, so you have a dilution solution on a 20 lighter, dude. That's sick.
I have it on a 6 lighter in my house.
That's rad.
I wake up at 6:50 thinking, dun, 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 dun.
I sent you the new reset foamer.
Oh, dude, that thing's the shit.
You like it?
Oh my God. I'm a master cleaner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a bleach boy. All we do is try and clean, keep everything sterile. But that thing is, just
simple.
I blast everything: the roof, the walls, the floor, the tables. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. We started using it in our spot, and it helped our fell rate on our product significantly because we were felling for Aspergillus, and in the state of Nevada, and I think it was coming from the drains. And you don't really realize how much
shit's around those drains.
Exactly. So what we did is they have a drain connection, and you slide this pole into your drain, and it completely fills up your drain with this foam, and it just kills everything. But those drains were probably not cleaning those drains like that was probably costing the business tens of thousands of dollars per month. It's just literally just got to clean the drains.
Do you have to fail that batch if it fails? I mean, do you have to throw it?
You can sell it. You can extract it.
In Colorado, they just turn around and send another sample back in. They're not going to throw that batch away. I mean,
oh really?
Oh, it's crazy. Then those guys are falling by the wayside too. You know, you can't keep with that shit, that SOP of, they're not changing the way they've been growing. They got mold, they got mites. Because I have my installers, my HVAC guys, they do the licensed facilities as well. And they're like, bro, these guys are so-and-so, I wouldn't smoke nothing out of their facility.
Because how dirty it is?
Gnarly.
Yeah.
They put top 5 companies, I'm not going to say them, but dude, I know their weed's crap. I mean, my guy came into town, before he got to me, he went by and bought 2 grams. He brought it to my house. It is the worst smelling stuff. It smells like asbestos.
Yeah, the scale cultivation's not always where it's at. Bigger's not necessarily better. Yeah, I know. You're kind of seeing that happen in Colorado. I had my boy come down, and he was one of the founders of Arroyo. Do you remember Arroyo? It was a publicly traded, huge cannabis company. They were competing with canopy growth back in the day.
Yeah.
And he came from that side, but now the same guy that's like one of the founders of Arroyo has 120 like craft grow that he's running in Canada, licensed all above board, and is now just selling small batch craft cannabis in Canada and having great success because the quality. Yeah. I mean, when you're growing, tens of hundreds of thousands of square feet of cannabis, it's extremely hard to maintain quality. Extremely.
Right. Yeah. I figured like I could up to like 20,000 square foot. I could manage it to a top shelf standard. After that, it would probably lose control. And especially with a skeleton crew other than trimmers and defoliators,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what Jungle Boys do.
Yeah, that's about.
They run a skeleton crew, except
they have several locations that are about that size.
Right.
Yeah. Some 50,000, but they run a lean crew for sure. Extremely lean, but efficient.
Yeah, everything's automated and the way it should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, automation's been lifesaver, time saver. I have my guy hand watering all day.
Yeah. What brought you out to Cali?
To see some friends. My sister actually lives here.
Nice.
I haven't seen her in a minute.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
She lives just south of Temecula, so.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Right.
Yeah. Sick. Well, cool, brother. I appreciate you making the trip out. I really enjoyed your story.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. And everything you do for me. And, all your guys, JJ to Brian to all the guys, all have been super cool and, always helpful and nice. And that's one thing. You hired like amazing crew,
Yeah. Well, it's cool. We hired all growers.
Yeah.
I think a lot of maybe nutrient companies or companies in general hire like salespeople, or maybe, we just hire growers. Like all of our guys are growers. It's going to be a lot harder to teach a sales guy how to grow weed than it's going to be to teach a grower how to kind of work with customers and sell a product.
Right. They're just about the bottom line of selling more than growing. So yeah, for sure. Definitely. The other day on that podcast you did, and I forgot which one, but you were like, I don't want people to fail. You were like, I don't want people to go through what I did, but it's like, you kind of have to fail to build character, to build you as a grower so you can learn. If it's just all roses the whole way and you don't have any fails, you don't have PM or mites or rust, you know what I mean? If you don't have that, then you kind of don't know. You just, growing's easy, bro.
Yeah.
It's a nothing thing. So it's like, you kind of have to have those ups and downs just as a learning curve as a grower,
Yeah, I remember back on some spots that I would, have or build. Yeah, I'd be either up or down or losing money. But if I was losing money, I was just like, you know what? I'm learning a lot right now.
Right.
On this spot, I'm losing money on this spot right now, but I'm learning a ton.
You were going big too, though, huh?
Yeah, I was going a little too big.
You never went small. You were just right out the gate big.
No, yeah. I was a greenhouse guy. So I had like 7 greenhouses in Southern California on all kinds of properties from Anza to Awanga, up in Phelan, San Diego, down in Fallbrook. I had some spots and just like had this like crew of trimmers that all my growers would grow, and then they'd bring it to this one central location and it'd get it trimmed and packaged and then out to my old brokers and stuff like that.
Right.
And you using all kinds of different nutrient lines and different processes. But once I got Athena Pro line, or when we were formulating it and using that, and using it 2 bags, and we're crushing, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is it.
Right.
Like now we're really going. It was fun. No, I learned a lot, but it was an interesting time.
Yeah.
You got to go through all that shit.
Yeah.
To realize.
Yeah. Just so you can learn. Yeah. It's definitely a learning process.
Yeah.
It's not always easy.
No, definitely. Well, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
All right, buddy.